KOTA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. We just had a young man in here who had a prosthetic leg above the knee, which I guess is a lot different than below the knee. You lose that joint right there. And so he lost his leg. And yet he has gained this amazing life after just saying to himself, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do, and he's doing it. And in that last interview, we had so many examples of people who have had loss, who have gone on to do great things. And when it's a physical loss, it's easy to see. When it's an emotional, internal loss, it's not always easy to see somebody who's dealing with something. But I think perhaps if I were going to go out on a limb with this subject, I would think we all probably have experienced some kind of a loss. Pastor Russell Clark is in the studio. He wrote a book called Loser, a story of hope found in a dying small-town church with its spiky-haired pastor. I wonder who that is. Let's see. You're the former pastor of the Reddick Methodist Church. Is that right? Okay. And then the mayor of Reddick is in the studio, James Stroup.
Yes, he is.
You're also a representative for the Reddick Public Library, and you have the Brown Bag Luncheon with Russell Clark that you're putting on the 25th, it looks like here, right?
Correct.
So, Pastor Clark and James Stroup, good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Thank you for having us.
Nice to see you. How come you don't have spiky hair?
I don't have any hair. We're opposite here.
Yeah.
So your loss is the hair kind.
His game. Yeah, you're right.
Well, thank you for coming in here. Yeah, this is a big topic. As a pastor, I mean, this must be one of the main things you have to console people about is loss of some sort, right?
Yeah, especially in a church like Reddick that's such a small town church with a lot of seasoned members, as we like to call them. Had a lot of funerals while I was there, and when I wanted to write this book, I wanted to tell the stories of the saints. I talk a lot about people that have passed away in the church and just telling their stories and the things we can learn from them. Yeah,
and you said in the Bible, is your book, Loser, does it mention Bible stories of people who've lost?
No. I mean, I touch on...
These are real people you know.
Yeah, these are real people in...
not that the Bible's not real people,
right.
but...
Yeah, right.
I don't want anybody to come here and be mad at
me. It's lightning up there.
But people you know. People you know.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, people we knew from the church that just had a great story to...
It's the hardest thing, though, when somebody has a loss, a death, a divorce, and anything else you can think of. It's hard to know what to say to that person. And you know what? They've probably heard it all. Whatever you say to them, I've heard that before.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and they are usually told to not be angry about it, to not deal with that grief, not to talk about it. You know, I talk about in the book, too, about my wife and I having 3 miscarriages before we eventually had our first daughter. And just like that topic is one that people don't talk about. So I talk a lot about those different losses to show people that it's okay to talk about these things. And I wanted to, like I said, tell a story of hope where they can know that they can move beyond that grief, and we can tell a new story, and we can gain a different perspective from these different losses. And losing people is just part of the book. It's also about like me losing my career as a minister, just losing what you thought life was supposed to be, and learning something new from that. That through that grief and that anger, we can gain a new perspective.
Can I go there? You lost your career as a minister? What happened?
I was here having the time of my life, being the pastor of this small town church, and then moved back to Texas. And I had a run-in with the pastor before. I actually call her the bitch in the book. I don't use her name because when I first met her, she said that she's difficult to work with.
Is that a biblical expression?
Yes. Yeah. And I talk about how she was difficult to work with, and when I left the church working for her, I spoke out about how she treated people. And then when I returned to Texas, the leaders wouldn't even give me the time of day. They said that I'm always going my own way and not respecting authority and all these things that she used to say to me. So I said, I wish y'all would have listened, got to know me instead of what she's saying about me.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, didn't Jesus go his own way? I mean, wasn't he kind of a rebel?
Oh yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So are you? Your heart is in ministry. Is the book a form of ministry?
Yeah, I think so, because it's meant to be an inspirational book to help people move past difficult things in their lives and to realize that we can still have hope. We can still have a new day, and we can.
This is going to change everything for you. I mean, everything you have been put on earth to do is going to happen because of this book. I can see it. I think you are entering into something. I feel like a psychic here. I think I see something happening for you. But I do. I see this. You know what I see this as? It's like you're the new Tony Robbins or something, doing that kind of a thing, which is there's not much different from being a preacher, from what he does. I mean, I don't know that he mentions Jesus ever, but in your case, you would. I would presume.
Yeah, and since being the pastor here and moving to Texas and have that happen to me, I moved to Kentucky for a while and with my wife's job, and then we just moved to Winter Garden. And after moving here, I've been going through the stress of getting my house ready. We're getting ready for another baby next month, and
well, good for you.
Thanks.
Yeah, congratulations.
And in the midst of all that stress of everything, I've been invited to come do this radio interview. I'm speaking at this luncheon. I got asked to come speak at my daughter's school yesterday about being an author, and I'm like, all these things are happening, and I've just been trying to unpack boxes. So
what is the relationship between the two of you? How did you guys become friends?
I was a lay leader of the church when he was there.
Okay.
Right. So we, matter of fact, the liturgist, I was up on the podium with him a lot of times. He was joint sermons and.
And did you feel like he was done wrong?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Very definitely.
So why wouldn't you be able? Did you want to have another church to be a pastor at?
I was just so thrown off by what happened when I returned to Texas that it just completely rocked me, and
But does the bitch in the book have that much power that she can actually stop you from being a pastor somewhere?
Yeah,
she is. What's her name?
It's not important. In fact, that was an important thing for me in the book, was not to use names and not really to make it about
right.
how I was hurt, but how we can move past it.
Absolutely. Well, that is that. Oh my gosh, I think that is the biggest lesson in life: is how to get past things and how to have faith. I think faith in getting past the hurdles is part of it. Yeah, we always use the roadmap as a way to think of our lives, and I always say if I wanted to go from here to California, but all I had was my feet, I could look at the map and say, okay, it's going to take a while, but I'm going to walk one step after the next, and you know what? I'll know the roads maybe, but I'll never know if there's going to be a coyote coming out of the woods. I'll never know if there's going to be somebody trying to panhandle from me. I'll never know if it's going to rain or if it's going to flood. All the things in our lives that we don't know are going to happen. They all happen, right?
Yeah. I love the way your book is laid out, too, because it's not just a conventional format inside the book.
Yeah,
that was a wonderful read. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks. That was something I wanted to do, was to have a theme with each chapter, and where each chapter deals with something from the past and the present, and sort of that intertwining story that and then when I started writing it just worked out, and it's different every time I explain the book what it's really about. It's really just a collection of stories and things we can learn about experiencing loss and finding gain.
And Mayor Stroup, with your involvement with the Reddick Public Library, I mean, you've got that whole community that knows you know them, and you really pull off some wonderful events. You had the wonderful Christmas event there, and now you have this brown bag luncheon, and that's something I think people look forward to.
It is. The brown bag luncheon has been going on for a long time. Miss Lee Finelli, who basically was the beginning of the Reddick Public Library in 1988 and was the librarian for 20 years, I guess. She had those quarterly, and it was always an attempt to have an author there, someone that basically the adult community could get along with too, and so that is they bring a sandwich in a brown bag, and we take care of the rest of it.
Mm-hmm. And that's really amazing too. You provide dessert, you provide the beverages, and you've got that camaraderie of community that you also instill for this.
There are not many that come in there that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
My brown bag was always bigger than the other kids, by the way, in school. I always had the bigger brown bag.
Right. That's important.
So, we have a friend. He started out as a listener, and he has had his share of alcoholism and jail time. And while he was in jail, he would write these little scraps of notes on the back of paper and on an unused part of a novel, and then rip out the page of the novel. And he had all these pages. And I said, his name is Frank. I said, Frank, you should write a book. You should make it a book. I don't know how to write a book. So Robert and I know how to get them in print. So we took all of his writings, and he now has a book. And it's kind of the story of how he came to understand that his problems were being caused by himself. And so that kind of the loss that he was experiencing, it dawned on him there was nobody to look at, to point fingers at, other than himself. And it's an amazing story of enlightenment in his own right. Lee, if you're listening, you got to get Frank to come to one of these book signing things.
Yeah.
So Frank has a book. How did the idea of a book happen for you?
When I was about to leave Reddick and return back to Texas, I was just amazed at the ministry that we had in the few years that I was there. And I started thinking about the book then, and then had the horrible experience when I returned to Texas. And the book was sort of healing for me to get my whole story on paper, and just to get that out there so that other people can read it and hopefully find new hope and gain something in their life. And that's why I wanted to call the book Loser, for those outcast people that have been separated from the church or been through something difficult, to know that this is their story too. And
And you have a study guide?
Yes.
With the book?
I brought it with me. We have a group discussion guide that's for church groups or college groups or book clubs or anybody that wants to read it, because I hope that this book isn't just a church Christian book, but it's really, I hope it's for everybody, that anybody would want to read.
There are so many stories in the Bible, and I'm not a great Bible scholar guy, but wasn't Job, didn't he, or is it Job? How do you say his name? Job? I mean, he was, I don't know if you call him a loser, but I mean, he lost everything, didn't he?
Oh yeah.
So do those kinds of stories inspire you, or is it too long ago? Like, are you more inspired by the contemporary person who's gone through hell and come back again, that kind of guy?
Oh yeah, no, I mean both. Yeah. Definitely. I think every story in the Bible, and I think I believe that the Bible is progressive, that we are still creating a new story today, that God's story is still being told today. So that's why it's important to tell the biblical story, but also to see how God is still moving today, and how it's moving through people like Jim and people like the small podunk town in Reddick with one stop sign, that things are still happening in small places like that.
And Mayor Stroup, when you're there at the Reddick Public Library and you're looking for new activities and events to showcase, what do you look for?
Well, it's what would be an interest to the people in that area. It doesn't necessarily have to be an author. We've had people that have gone on safaris. We've had people that have gone on. I went to Europe and did one once, and so it's not only just those who write books. We tried to get Buddy Martin too, but Buddy's kind of tied up.
Yeah.
I think we've been to this library, right, Robin? Is this the one we went to
for
with Lee?
Christmas time? We played the music there and everything, and it was a lot of fun.
It's an important part of that town. That library is an important part of Reddick, isn't it?
Very much so.
Yeah. So, Pastor Clark, as a pastor, you are probably writing all the time. Is there another book coming out?
Yes, actually, I've been a stay-at-home dad since I left the ministry, and I'm working on a book now called Daddy, Will You Please Be a Dinosaur? The Adventures of a Stay-at-Home Dad, a Working Mom, and Their Princess.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
I'm about a quarter of the way through now. I'm writing a book similar to this one, where it's an inspirational book about being a stay-at-home dad and just that perspective that I've gained from that. And then I'm hoping to release a supplemental children's book to go along with it.
Wow, how do you be a dinosaur, by the way? Yeah. You know, when I take the garbage out, I walk over all these little lizards out here, and I feel like a dinosaur.
Yeah, that's just something my daughter says to me every night when it's bedtime. Usually she doesn't want to go to bed, and then she'll say, Daddy, will you please be a dinosaur? And I chase her up the stairs and tickle her.
So do you read books to your children, to your daughter?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
every night we do.
Yeah, same book?
I love the Elephant and Piggy books by Mo Williams. Those are some of our favorite.
Have you ever heard of the Honky Donkey? What's it called? The Honky Wonky Donkey? Have you ever heard of that book?
Yeah, that's.
Oh my gosh! You got to see this video. There's a woman reading the Honky Wonky Donkey, and she's a grandmother. She's reading it to her grandchild, and she's just laughing so hard at this book. This is an idea for you. Wait a minute. All right, so there's a video. I got to find the video. All right, I'll find the video. All right, now, so she's laughing. So everybody's sharing the video now, right? Well, guess what happened as a result of it? The book is like number one.
Yeah.
And the children. So everybody says, I want to get the Honky Donkey Wonky Donkey. Let's see. Honky Wonky Donkey. Let's see. Wonky Donkey. Oh, my gosh. See, Wonky Donkey Grandma. It came up right away. Oh, I got to play this for you. Okay. Can you see it? Let me make it big. Let's get past the Rick Scott ad first. Get past the Rick Scott.
Politics.
Come on.
No politics.
All right. You're going to have to put your headset on to hear this, though. You got to hear this lady laughing. All right. Wait. Come on.
Funny.
Here we go. Here's the lady. Here she is. Listen. She's reading. Can you see her?
I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey.
A donkey. Okay.
bee.
And a bee. Okay. Get to page 2.
A donkey. Hee-haw. And he only had 3 legs.
He only had 3 legs.
He was a wonky donkey.
Yeah, but when she gets into the book, she just laughs
Right.
toward the end.
I was walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw. He only had 3 legs and 1 eye. He was a winky wonky donkey.
And she's starting. She's starting to
I was
laugh.
walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw. He only had 3 legs, 1 eye, and he liked to listen to country music. He was a honky-tonky winky wonky donkey.
So every time she turns the page and reads more,
She laughs more.
she laughs and laughs. Here we
I was
go.
walking down the road and I saw a donkey. Hee-haw. He had only 3 legs, 1 eye. He liked to listen to country music. It was quite odd.
All right. So here's an idea for you. Look at him, 263,000 views, and if you look at it on Amazon, that book is now number 1, and because of that video, people share it. So that's what you got to do. You got to
and anybody listening that likes has kids or grandkids needs to get The Book with No Pictures by B.J. Novak. He's from The Office. It's a really great book about getting parents and grandparents to make funny noises while they read the book. It makes the kids laugh. It's great.
Oh, wow. All right. So
I like the fact that you chose a Thursday for the brown bag luncheon, for the middle of the week type of thing, to break up other people's weeks.
Right, and it is a day that the library is closed, which makes it's kind of difficult to have them on the day that the library is open, because you're trying to do library business and do this at the same time, and it's a little bit confusing. So we do it on a day that the library is normally closed.
So let's take a part of the book. Give people a sample. What is awesome? What is that?
Awesome.
What is that?
Awesome. I just created this word that's like awesome, but it's supposed to be more emphasis.
Right.
The ultimate epitomization of being awesome, that we can live this exciting new life and be on this journey. And are we having a fight outside?
I think they're playing.
Yeah, well, we've seen people go past this window.
Sorry, I didn't mean. Sorry, that was rude of me to be watching, but I didn't know if I had to get up and do something.
But yeah, it's just about really being excited about having that new life in Christ and having that love inside your life. And I say, like, mission trips are awesome, or that God made you to be awesome, and it's about really experiencing that love and that life and that journey and that joy, knowing that it can be a part of your everyday life.
Do you know, when you hear about people jumping out of buildings during the Great Depression, you have to say to yourself, really? I mean, that money was that important to you that you would just take your children's father away from them? I mean, basically that's what they were doing. Exactly. You know, they were taking their wives' husbands away from them. What? It's more important than that? I don't see. That's the part I don't understand, and I don't have a whole lot of sympathy for that, because, and I know that's probably not the Jesus way to think, but I just don't. By the way, you have somebody who's a Prince Harry fan who texted me, wants to know what's up with the black ring. What is that? What's the Prince? I don't even get the connection. What is the Prince?
I have no idea what he's talking about, but this is like an athletic ring. It's just a flexible ring that. I mean, I'm not exactly an athletic person, but it's just it's a fat person's ring.
Mayor, do people come to you directly with their problems, and then you realize they need spiritual guidance?
That happens also, yes.
Mm-hmm. And how do you handle that?
Well, you know, you use the aspects of the church that we have as best we can. I also happen to live right across the street from the church, so whatever happens in that respect, I get a lot of that. And I don't know, it's a hard question to answer. What I can do.
How did you miss your calling? Are you really a pastor at heart?
Me?
Yeah.
No, sir. No.
Why do you answer that way? It looks like you are.
No, I'm not a pastor at heart. I get too shaky there.
Pastor and James, thank you for coming in here. Let's see. How do we get the book? Do you have a website?
Yes, it's on Amazon.com.
Okay, Amazon makes it easy.
Yep.
And do you? Let's see. We want to make sure we mention it again. October 25th, which is a week from yesterday, right?
Correct.
Next Thursday.
Right.
At the Reddick Public Library. You can have a brown bag luncheon and meet Pastor Russell Clark, and will you be reading excerpts from the book?
I'll just be talking about things from the book and things that the community can work on.
All right.
And Mayor, we're really lucky to have you involved in our community as well, because you're such a well-loved person in the Reddick area, and that love spills over to our area here. So thank you so much.
Okay. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for having us.
Russell, keep your chin up. You've got good things ahead of you.
Thank you so much.
Ahead for you. Keep it up.
Brand new baby.
Especially a baby. Yeah, absolutely. Your family's growing, and so are you. Don't let the world get you down. I'll be your pastor just for 2 seconds here. James Stroup, you're an amazing guy, too. Thank you so much for coming in and letting us get to know you a little bit.
Thank you.
And Lee, thank you for inviting our two guests today. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back.
Honey Baked Ham has a new tailgate pack special. For just $19.99, a half a pound of delicious Honey Baked Ham slices, a half a pound of smoked or roast turkey slices, 1 pound deli side, choose from broccoli bacon bliss, loaded potato salad, etc. Plus 1 dozen King's Hawaiian rolls. How about doubling your order for $39.99? Call 352-861-0011. Or come to Honey Baked Ham of Ocala, 2709 Southwest 17th Avenue, Ocala, Monday through Saturday, 10 to 6. Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster. President Trump's in Arizona for some events and a Republican campaign rally tonight, 18 days to the midterm elections, telling a crowd in Missoula, Montana last night.
This will be an election of Kavanaugh, the caravan, law and order, and common sense.
The caravan he's talking about, there's a group of Central American migrants that's being held back by the Mexican government. Russian President Vladimir Putin says he would never start a nuclear war.
But, he said, if an incoming attack was detected, but then the aggressor should know that retaliation is inevitable and he will be destroyed. Speaking at an international policy forum in Sochi, Russia, Putin said, "We would be victims and go to heaven as martyrs, but the attackers would just die and not even have